You think I'm here to play around with y'all? God damn it, I'm not.
This is Ronnie O'Neal III, a 29-year-old who's charged with killing his own family in Riverview, Florida. Near midnight on March 18, 2018, the Riverside Police Department got a bone-chilling 911 call.
Hey, I just been attacked by some white demons inside Kiki. Kiki, her name is Kiki, and she tried to kill me.
What's the address of the emergency? Tried to attack you?
Yes. She did. She tried to kill me.
That call came from O'Neal, saying that his girlfriend Kiki, or Kenyatta, had just tried to kill him. By the time police arrived, Kenyatta's body was lifeless in front of her neighbor's house. Her own house, however, was up in flames, with her 2 young children inside. Firefighters watched, stunned, as 8-year-old Ronnie walked through the flames, covered in stab wounds. He ran straight into the arms of Detective Mike Blair. He weakly said, "My father shot my mother," before passing out from blood loss. Miraculously, he was alive, but his 9-year-old sister wasn't so lucky. O'Neal beat his daughter Renivia to death with a hatchet, killing her. By the time police got inside, a gasoline-soaked O'Neal was still in the house, but he wouldn't go down without a fight. Police couldn't get him in handcuffs until they did this.
Deputies also tell us they found a man named Ronnie O'Neal III inside the home smelling like gasoline. They had to use a taser to take him down.
It took a taser and multiple deputies to get O'Neal under control. Police took him in for interrogation, but he refused to talk without a lawyer. This would all change in court, since during the trial, O'Neal decided to be his own lawyer. As for whether or not that was a good idea, you be the judge.
Evidence is going to show that we are under some of the most vicious, fabricating, fictitious government you ever seen. But they wanted to make me seem like a terrorist.
Bravely, O'Neal's surviving son agreed to testify against his father.
My mom ran in my sister's room. My mom ran in my sister's room into the closet. And then my dad said to come in here and come kill this the B-word.
Did he do something to your sister?
Yes, he hit her with an axe.
But because O'Neal acted as his own lawyer, he was authorized to cross-examine all witnesses, including his own son.
Did I hurt you that night of this incident?
Yes.
I did. And how did I hurt you?
He stabbed me.
Things weren't looking good for O'Neal. Desperate to convince the jury, O'Neal's courtroom behavior only got more alarming.
You will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next one.
The judge was obviously not impressed, and therefore, in the end, O'Neal was found guilty.
This is the worst case ever in my life, and I have seen some horrors, but this is it. And I'm gonna mete out the punishment that I think this case deserves.
This is the moment he learned his sentence.
On count 1, Mr. O'Neal, I will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life in prison with a minimum mandatory of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Count 2, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole, consecutive to count 1. On count 3, I'm going to sentence you on the attempted murder, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life in prison.
O'Neal was given 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole and an extra 60 years for arson. Surprisingly, there's one good thing that did come out of this. Detective Mike Blair, who stepped in to protect little Ronnie, stayed with him throughout the entire court process and formally adopted Ronnie, giving him a new loving family. O'Neal tore his own family apart. But how does this compare to a family who puts together an entire sting operation and citizen's arrest just to protect one of their own? This is Jeremy Dwayne Gibson, who's charged with using technology to engage in sexual communication with a minor in Oklahoma. Thanks to a family phone monitoring app called Family Time, this father realized that his 15-year-old daughter had downloaded an unauthorized app and was texting an unknown adult male. He read the messages, and his heart dropped.
He was messaging her and encouraging her to meet him, kind of setting up a situation to where she would lose her virginity with him.
He reported the conversation to the police, but that's when he found out that Gibson had plans to meet up with his daughter at their home that night. So he hatched a plan.
It happened in this backyard. The family had it all set up. The father put this tent as a decoy, and he had that camera right there that was rolling, so it would capture the moment the man walked into the backyard.
This father called his wife and 3 of his cousins, and then they waited. At 12:14 a.m., the prey arrived. Gibson walked into the backyard and started unzipping the tent where he thought a 15-year-old girl was waiting for him. That very moment, the father and all 3 cousins charged him. They tackled him to the ground and restrained his hands and feet with zip ties. Meanwhile, the tent's occupant stepped out. It wasn't the 15-year-old, but her adult mother. Gibson claimed he only wanted to chastise the girl and show her the error of her ways, but the condom found in his pocket said otherwise.
Do you think he knew she was 15?
Yes. Yes, I do.
You think your daughter understands what she was opening herself up to?
I don't think she did. I do think she does now.
The girl's family wouldn't hurt Gibson. Instead, they handed him over to the police.
We did it without harming him or leaving any bruises or marks on him. But we never encourage people to take the law into their own hands. That's what we're paid to take risks for.
The father, however, has no regrets.
If I wasn't as involved as I am, I don't know when I would have caught this. And that scares me, not just for my children and my family, but for other children and other families out there.
Gibson was arrested for his charges, and his sentence is undisclosed. This family did everything to protect their daughter. But what happens when the family isn't home? This is Joseph Zieler, charged with sexual assault and murder of 2 girls in Cape Coral, Florida. In May of 1990, Jan Cornell arrived home from work to find a gruesome scene. Her daughter, 11-year-old Robin Cornell, and her babysitter, Lisa Story, had been both sexually assaulted and then killed at the Cornell home.
Oh my God, please hurry! Man, please just calm down with me. Oh my God!
The only evidence was a bit of DNA on a bedsheet, but the results were inconclusive. The case went cold. Until 26 years later, when a miracle happened. Joseph Zieler was arrested for assaulting his own son in 2016. When his data was put into that database, they found a match. Therefore, Zieler was charged with the assaults and murders. In court, facing the death penalty, Zieler tried the age-old tactic: deny, deny, deny.
Do you know Jan Cornell?
No, I don't know Jan Cornell.
Do you know Lisa Story?
No.
Do you know Robin Cornell?
No.
But he couldn't keep up with his own lies.
And what I believe happened is I slept with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller, and they were just too much of a pig not to wash their sheets.
He called his victims dirty pigs.
Your DNA would have still been there 5 months later.
Yes.
And that's because they're pigs and they don't wash their sheets,
exactly.
Right? You know that?
Well, I assume that.
The jury decided he was guilty of the crimes, thus handing him the death penalty.
Therefore, the court concludes that under the laws of the state of Florida, the defendant has forfeited his right to live.
Full of rage, Zieler decided to take revenge on his own lawyer.
What's that?
He called his attorney over, pretending to ask a question, when suddenly, bam! Zieler's elbow hit his attorney right in the eye. Thankfully, his attorney wasn't severely injured.
You okay?
I'm fine. I used to box. I've taken a lot better shots than that.
Zieler's crime of opportunity earned him the death sentence. Now let's compare this to a man who literally rips a child out of their mother's arms. This is Michael Webb, facing charges of aggravated kidnapping in Texas. In May of 2019, 51-year-old Webb was walking down the street when he saw a mother and her 8-year-old daughter on their way to school.
Help me! Help me, please! My daughter just got kidnapped!
Security footage caught Webb shoving the mother, stuffing the girl into his car, and then driving away. Police officers immediately started tracking the car. That night, they found it parked at a hotel in Fort Worth.
Police department, open the door!
Open the door! Open it! Hands! Let me see your hands! Step out here! Step out!
After a short standoff, Webb eventually opened the door. He was completely naked.
Step out!
Webb was immediately surrounded by officers, while others went looking for the little girl.
Blood in bed, man. Hey, here she is! Got her! We got her! We got her! We got her! Yes. Hey, buddy.
Luckily, they found the girl inside of the hotel room, alive.
We need an EMT. Get home med star. Yes. No, don't worry about your clothes. Don't worry about your clothes. Can we cover her up? Can we cover her up? Yeah. With something? Here you go, baby. Can we get her out? Let's go. Come on, sweetheart. You're okay?
She had suffered sexual assault but was otherwise safe and was returned to her parents. However, shockingly enough, during interrogation, Webb initially showed no remorse.
And I know I missed somebody because when I pushed the woman and grabbed her, I heard somebody screaming.
But all that changed when he broke down sobbing.
What did you say to scare her, Michael?
I told her that if she said anything, that I would do something to her parents. And if I was in jail, I would have my friends to do it.
In court, no cameras were allowed inside, but everyone knew Webb was guilty. In the end, he was given life in prison. The girl went to the hospital with her parents and has since made a full recovery. This little girl was hurt by a terrifying stranger. But what happens when the very person you trust the most betrays you? This is Terry J. McFadden, charged with sexually assaulting 2 minors who were enrolled in his daycare program in Ohio. 70-year-old McFadden and his wife Carol co-owned a daycare program for children ages 3 to 6. Things went very well for the daycare until 2017, when McFadden started taking a more active role in the day-to-day activities. In 2019, 2 young sisters, aged 4 and 6, revealed to their parents that their daycare teacher had touched them inappropriately. The parents immediately notified authorities, and soon, McFadden was arrested. At first, nobody believed McFadden could be a predator.
I can't believe that. I think it's not true.
I'm truly shocked. They're really a great couple. I'm truly surprised to hear that.
I really don't think it happened.
But when police interrogated him, McFadden couldn't even feign surprise at the charges.
The complaint is sexual in nature. Okay. I can tell that. Did you expect me to say that? Because it kind of seemed like it.
This was his side of the story.
Most recently, Friday, when Jen came up in to pick up, she was naked from the waist down, which she had just taken off her pants, which again, kids that age sometimes do. And then she started running around naked. Before that, we had been sitting on the couch, and she had been climbing all over me, just as like, well, a game that she climbed up behind me and then went over, just rolled over, like gymnastics kind of a thing, and onto the floor, and then rolled over and do that again. Just it was also Friday before that. But we did that for a bunch of times. I was just sort of sitting there going, oh, we stopped. And then suddenly she pulled her pants down and did that. So, come on, put your pants back on. So put the pants back on, and then suddenly, she took them off all together. And so we stopped playing that game.
But the police knew that wasn't all.
Is there anything else that happened during that interaction that we need to talk about now? If there is, you need to tell us now that we're not going to. If we find out during the course of our investigation, it's going to be much worse. This is your opportunity to get it all out on the table. Let us know what happened so we can do whatever it is that we need to do to move on, okay?
I think and yes, I mean, kissed her butt, so.
What do you mean by that?
Huh?
What do you mean by that? You kissed her butt?
Just her butt, yes.
Are you sure?
Like that.
Sure it wasn't something else that you kissed?
And.
Are you sure it wasn't something else you kissed?
And
What do you do?
You kissed down here.
Okay.
So you kissed. Yeah, that was just Was it a quick?
Was it just a kiss, or was it? I'm just trying to get the picture on exactly what happened. Okay, this is your opportunity to tell us what happened.
No, it's embarrassing to say. Yeah.
Did your hand ever go inside of her underwear when you guys cuddled?
It has.
Okay. Does your finger enter her vagina just a little bit?
Well, maybe just a little.
McFadden was arrested and charged with 1 count of rape. Soon a second rape charge was added for the other sister. In court, the judge all but spat on McFadden.
This court is so sick and tired of seeing adults ruin and abuse children. These are literally just one step from being babies. They come to a daycare, those parents struggle so that when they release their children to someone during the day, they have some semblance that that child is going to be protected and safe. Not let alone 2 of their children being raped by your own admission, sir. For sexual gratification, you violated a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. You can't even know what damages you've done. For sexual gratification. This to me is so mind-boggling that you used and abused 2 little children like they're inconsequential beings. Those are human persons with human dignity. The mere fact that they're small little people that can't fight off adults, that's why an adult left them with adults.
McFadden, however, showed no remorse. Not even when he learned his sentence.
I'm going to tell you something, Mr. McFadden. There's no free rapes in my courtroom. On count 1, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. On count 4, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. They will be consecutive to each other for a total of 22 years. These are little children that are the future. I hate to sound so cliche, but the children are our future, and if we're destroying them, we have no future. And this ends in this courtroom.
It's unlikely he'll still be alive by the time his 22 years are up. Now, McFadden never offered an apology, but at least he showed some shame during the interrogation. Now, how does that one compare to a defendant who simply couldn't care less? This is John Acklin, charged with 16 counts of sexual assault against 2 children in Bandera, Texas. In the late 2000s in New York, Acklin sexually assaulted 2 young girls who were under the age of 11. It took him 10 years to understand what happened, work through their trauma, and finally come forward. By then, Acklin was living in Bandera, Texas. New York police extradited him back north, and Acklin faced trial for his actions. In court, Acklin looked pretty bored, even as his victims gave their testimonies.
My character is not defined by what you've done to me and everything I've been through. And I hope that you never see the light of day again. I hope that you're never going to be around any children. I hope that you just spend the rest of your life there and you're never let out because you're a danger to children and the society.
Even as his lawyer is fighting for his freedom, Acklin couldn't care less.
Mr. Hillman, on behalf of Mr. Acklin.
My client opposes for the obvious reasons, Your Honor.
When it was all said and done, Acklin was forced to face his sentence.
That was your last day of freedom on this earth. Today is your day for incarceration, Mr. Acklin. You will be incarcerated in state prison for the rest of your natural life.
The judge handed Acklin a total of 335 years in state prison. Acklin's sentence is longer than the entire lifetime of the United States. But how does that ruling compare to the sentence of these parents who left their children alone on a busy beach? This is Alicia Langley and her fiancé, Timothy Stevens, who are both facing child neglect and alcohol possession in Florida. For Langley and Stevens, their spring break was supposed to be a fun family beach vacation. But something went wrong when these 2 lovebirds woke up on the beach to a deputy standing over them.
What's up, guys? Sheriff's office. Time to wake up. Time to wake up. Hey, guys. Yep, time to wake up, guys. Hey! The sheriff's office! Wake up!
By the time they finally woke up, there was another reason to panic. Their kids were missing.
Tell me where your kids are. How old are they? 7, 8.
The kids were nowhere to be found, and police did find evidence that the couple consumed alcohol on the beach, which is illegal.
Why am I being arrested?
Arrested.
Alcohol on the beach and child neglect.
Langley called her grandfather to come get the kids, wherever they were, but Stevens had more important things on his mind. With his possessions about to be confiscated, Stephen made sure to hit the vape one last time. Children that young left unsupervised could face any number of dangers on a public beach, but it seems like only one of the parents was worried.
In the truck. I'm telling you to get in the truck, and I'd like to get in yourself. So that's
I want
you
to
get in
make
the
sure
truck.
my
I've been
kids
trying to
are
work with you
okay.
this whole time. And
Where are my kids?
Family Resource Center. So
Meanwhile, it looks like Stevens is finally realizing the weight of his actions, and he makes a run for it.
you got it.
Within seconds, he trips over his own feet and face plants into the sand so hard he passes out. Both parents were arrested and charged with child neglect, alcohol possession, and in Stevens' case, attempting to escape custody. Meanwhile, deputies scoured the area and found the two kids swimming unsupervised at a nearby hotel pool. They were taken and cared for until their grandfather arrived. Those two kids narrowly avoided a catastrophic situation. But how does that compare to children who get abused while their parents are in the room?
His patients weren't safe, his friends' children weren't safe, and even his own children weren't safe.
I'm so horribly sorry that this was like a match to turn into a forest fire out of control.
This is Larry Nassar, a doctor accused of sexually assaulting 265 underage gymnasts, including Olympian Simone Biles.
The word Nassar will permanently be associated with child sexual abuse.
Nassar's career started as a doctor for a gymnastics training club in 1988. Less than a year later, he was the national medical coordinator for Team USA Gymnastics, coming into contact with tens of underage girls every day.
It was during this time, I estimate I was approximately 6 years old, that Larry Nassar began to sexually abuse me. Over a 6-year period, he progressed from exposure to masturbating in front of me while playing hide and go seek, rubbing his bare penis on my bare feet, and penetrating my vagina with his fingers. My father and I did our best to patch up our tattered relationship before he committed suicide in 2016.
Then he exploited his position as their doctor to explore newly discovered pain relief points inside the girls' private areas.
There were some Mondays after practice I would be the last one on the list, which I was because Larry so graciously asked me to stay. Sometimes until midnight, because he needed to work on me longer, massage me longer. As another sister survivor said, in and out, in and out.
Chelsea, tell me what's wrong. And she said, Mom, he put his fingers in me and they weren't gloved. And I said, Chelsea, I was right there in the room. And she goes, you couldn't see what was going on, Mom. And she said, he hurt me in 2009. She took her own life because she couldn't deal with the pain anymore.
But one man, a father of 3 victims, wasn't satisfied with just words. He wanted to kill Larry Nassar.
You son of a bitch. I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon. Would you do that? Yes or no? Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how it is.
Well, I'm gonna have to.
Unfortunately, Nassar never got those 5 minutes.
What if this happened to you guys?
No one can behave like this. I'm going to make sure it's crystal clear. I'm sure Judge Craig.
You haven't lived through it, lady.
You cannot behave like this.
The father faced no charges for that attack. Then gold medalist Simone Biles got on the stand.
To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame
an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse. USA Gymnastics and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee knew that I was abused by their official team doctor long before I was ever made aware of their knowledge.
Allegedly, despite receiving reports against Nassar for years, USA Gymnastics didn't take any action against him until the 2016 Olympics were over. But Nassar couldn't run forever. He was finally arrested for possessing child pornography and tampering with evidence on July 11, 2017. During questioning, Nassar was defensive.
If you don't have patient confidence and patient trust, you would have been having my here how many times?
Right.
Okay, especially when I'm doing this on 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. Okay, with their parents there. I don't get it. Why didn't she say something if she was feeling violated in any way, shape, and form? There was no communication.
Okay.
And that's why I'm like, what?
You ever get aroused during these exams?
I shouldn't be getting an erection during an exam.
Right. Well, the reason why I'm talking to you about this is because this young girl and her mother both observed this on more than one occasion during treatment.
If there was arousal, it's. I mean, like it would be because of whatever. I don't know, but I'm not trying to.
Whatever. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
When you're a guy, sometimes you get an erection.
Shortly after his arrest, his wife divorced him and took the kids. Nassar's world came crashing down, and he could feel it. He privately wrote a letter to the judge, but she completely exposed the letter in front of everyone.
I was a good doctor because my treatments worked, and those patients that are now speaking out were the same ones that praised and came back over and over and referred family and friends to see me. The media convinced them that everything I did was wrong and bad. They feel I broke their trust. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. It is just a complete nightmare. The stories that are being fabricated to sensationalize this.
The judge couldn't believe Nassar's lack of remorse, but soon enough, Nassar changed his tune.
The depth and breadth of how sorry I am for what has occurred. An acceptable apology to all of you is impossible to write and convey. I will carry your words with me for the rest of my days.
But it was too late.
As much as it was my honor and privilege to hear the sister survivors, it is my honor and privilege to sentence you because, sir, you do not deserve to walk outside of a prison ever again. You have done nothing to control those urges, and anywhere you walk, destruction will occur. I find that you don't get it, that you're a danger. You remain a danger. I am a judge who believes in life and rehabilitation when rehabilitation is possible. I have many defendants come back here and show me the great things they've done in their lives after probation, after parole. I don't find that's possible with you. Your decision to assault was precise, calculated, manipulative, devious, despicable.
This is the moment Nassar learned his sentence.
100 years. Sir, I'm giving you 175 years, which is 2,100 months. Just signed the death warrant.
Nassar's time in prison hasn't been easy. In July of 2023, he was ambushed and attacked by another inmate. He was stabbed 10 times, including in the neck and chest. However, he survived. Nassar preyed upon minors in his doctor's office. But how does that one compare to minors who get ambushed in their own home? This is Christopher Elwell, who's charged with sexual assault on a minor in New Hampshire. In 2017, Christopher lived in a home with 3 young girls, aged 9 and 2 of them 4. Near the end of that year, 28-year-old Elwell lured one of the girls into a secluded area of the home and sexually assaulted her. The girl told a trusted adult who pressed charges, and Elwell was arrested. In court, it wouldn't take long for him to be found guilty. Seconds after the verdict was announced, Elwell got a nasty taste of what the rest of his life was going to look like. Fellow inmate Josiah Davies, who was in court for a parole violation, forcefully headbutted Elwell before police pushed him off. Police say he had no connection to the case. He was motivated by pure disgust for Elwell's crimes. Chris was handed 7.5 to 15 years in prison. This man separated that minor from her family and trapped her in a horrible situation. But how does that even compare to a defendant who promised to marry someone just to get access to their godchild? This is Granville Ritchie, facing charges of rape and murder in Tampa, Florida. In May of 2014, 9-year-old Felicia Williams was reported missing after disappearing from her babysitter's house. Her babysitter and godmother, Ebony Wiley, was with her new boyfriend, Granville Ritchie, on the day Felicia disappeared. Soon, they were brought in for questioning.
Do you have any idea where this girl may be?
I wish I know.
This is their story.
We were there chilling. Of course, me and the girl is gonna get private. You know what I mean? Before we go in the room and put a movie in, we watching it, mellow down, we chilling, we go in the room, going to take a shower, get in the shower.
With the little girl distracted watching a movie, Wiley and Ritchie went into the bedroom.
We came out of that room, man. That little girl was gone. We there, pondering. She's like, call the cops. Pray. This girl don't put anybody in the problem.
They called 911 and reported her missing, but days later, a child's naked body was found in a nearby bay. The DNA matched Felicia. The police put more pressure on Wiley, and then she cracked. She admitted to lying about putting a movie on. Really, it was something much worse.
He said, do you know where to get some weed from? I was like, yeah. He was like, okay, you gotta go. I won't stay here. Going with me. He said, I don't think you should go because you know you're about to price tags. And you know you're gonna have weed in the car, so I think you should stay here.
She had left Felicia at home with a man she had known for less than a week. And worse, she lied to protect him.
Why lie?
Got scared. I don't want to make it feel like I was an unfit godmother.
They arrested Ritchie for the murders, and only in court was the full truth uncovered.
Once Ebony Wiley had left, she was all alone in his care, in his custody. And Granville Ritchie raped, strangled, brutalized, and murdered Felicia Williams.
When Ritchie was alone with Felicia, he sexually assaulted her, strangled her, and then dumped her in the bay.
I said I left her with Trevor, and he wanted me to go and get some weed for him. And then when I came back, she wasn't there.
Wiley was devastated to learn that her mistake cost Felicia her life, but it was too late. Ritchie was found guilty of sexually assaulting and killing 9-year-old Felicia, and he would pay for it with his life.
Therefore, the court finds that the sentence of death is the appropriate penalty the court should impose for the murder of 9-year-old Felicia Williams, as charged in count 1 of the indictment.
Ritchie tried to appeal his sentence, but he was unsuccessful.